If your coaching business has been roughly the same revenue for the past year or two, or maybe even 5 years or more, and you think the next funnel or the next offer tweak, maybe the next content strategy is going to be the thing that breaks you through, sorry to tell you, but it's probably not. And I know that that can land pretty hard because you're good at what you do. You're a coach. You're working with clients. Your clients are getting results. And you know that by now, this should be working right now. So why hasn't it? Well, that's what we're going to get into today. And I'm going to walk you through the 3 stages to actually grow your coaching business when you hit that plateau like I've just described. And to let you know, this is not a theory. This is something that I've lived in my own business, and it's something that I've watched my clients work through every single week. What I see happening a lot with coaches is when they've been in their business for a couple of years, like 3, 4, maybe even 5 or more, and you've hit a ceiling. And revenue sits in the same range. Well, you might have a good month, but then the next 2 are quiet months. The pipeline feels very much like a guessing game. And the most frustrating part is that you've probably already tried to fix it in one way or another. You've probably refined your offer more than one time just to get it right, just with the hope that it's going to specifically land for someone. You've tried different content angles to really get your content down. Or maybe you've looked at your pricing several times thinking, is it too much? Is it too little? You've probably watched a number of videos or even attended courses about scaling, growing, and I'm sure a lot of it actually made sense. But then nothing actually moves the needle in a lasting way. Which is when you sit back and you start to think things like, well, maybe it's the market, maybe the market is very saturated right now, or maybe my niche isn't quite right, or it's not quite specific enough and I need to niche down harder. Or maybe you just need to post more, become more visible, show up more consistently, because that's what everyone is telling you to do. But the whole time, there's a very quiet frustration underneath it all. Maybe sometimes it's not so quiet, because you look out there and you're looking at other coaches. Maybe there's some of them that you think aren't as good as you and what you're doing, but they're growing. They seem to be doing much better than you. They talk about how they're filling their calendar consistently. They talk about how they're raising their prices, but you're in that gap between what you're truly capable of and what your business actually reflects. That's something I know only too well because I have been that coach. Probably too many times than I'd care to admit, but I will. I've been there. The real challenge here, when you're in that position, we try to work on the wrong thing, or we typically work on the wrong thing because we think it's about generating more revenue and things like that. But you know what? It's not really a revenue problem. It's an identity erosion problem. Because every month that you remain stuck where you are at that level, something is shifting inside of you. And it's where you start questioning whether you're even cut out for the work that you're doing, whether you're good enough to be growing a business to the level that you see all these other people doing it. And because of that, you start to pull back from your outreach activities, the things which are actually going to fill your pipeline. You stop putting yourself out there because there's a part of you that has decided that it's not going to work anyway. But the real kicker is, and what makes it significantly worse, is that you're still delivering to the clients that you currently have. You're still doing great work. So the gap between what you do for your current clients and other people and what you do for yourself is getting wider every day. 2 years of that will change who you are, and not in a sudden and dramatic way where it feels like everything is just falling apart all at once. This happens in a slow and quiet way over time. You gradually stop believing that your own business can be any different. And it's that belief, well, lack of belief, that becomes your ceiling, which is the real cost of when you hit that plateau. Because it's not the money that you're not making right now. It's the version of yourself that you're slowly but surely giving up on. Which of course opens up the question, what do we actually do about it? What is actually going to work for me? And I should give you a bit of a warning on this, because if you're at that stage right now, you're probably not going to want to hear what I have to say. But as you know, as a coach, it's the things that we don't want to hear, that we don't want to face, which are the ones which are going to help us grow the most. So bear with me. Growing past the plateau rarely has anything to do with the physical type of things, or the strategy, or that next funnel, or anything like that. But it is a sequence problem. And I don't mean a funnel sequence or an email sequence. I mean the sequence that starts with you, not your business. I call it the 3 stages of growth past the plateau. And most coaches will usually stay stuck because they're trying to do stage 3 work while still living in stage 1. The first stage is congruence. And this is the stage where you'll rarely hear people talking about it because they're usually trying to focus on potentially selling you into the next funnel course creator or something like that. So what is congruence? Well, congruence means that your business actually reflects who you are, but more importantly, what you believe. And I'm not talking about the type of version of yourself and your beliefs that you think the market wants to hear, or a safe version, which might be watered down. The real one, the genuine one, the one that is so aligned with yourself that it lights you up every time you talk about it. And most coaches will plateau because they've been building their business around who they think they should be, how they should be seen, not who they actually are. But what's really interesting here is when you are building your business like that, where it's about what you think you should be like, everyone can feel it. The market can feel that gap and the incongruence. Your audience and network, even your clients, will feel it as well. Your audience can feel it with everything that you do. Your clients can feel it. When you're trying to sign new clients, they can feel it. They may not be able to name it specifically and be like, oh, this person's not being congruent, but they know something's off. They can feel it. But here's the real thing. You can feel it too. That's exactly why when you go to do any type of outreach activity, you're up against the wall. It feels like pulling teeth. It's like one of the hardest things to do. You feel it because you're not being you with everything that you're doing. You're not being congruent. You're performing a version of yourself that you think everyone wants to see. And you know what? It's exhausting because it's draining your energy. It's a constant performance. So stage 1 is about getting brutally honest with what you actually stand for, who you really are, who you actually help the best, and what you actually believe about how change works. Not what sounds good, but what's actually true. Which brings us on to the second stage, capacity. Once you're congruent, you build capacity. Not content capacity or strategy capacity or anything like that. I mean the internal capacity to handle more, to hold more. More clients, more money, more visibility, more pressure, everything. And this is a stage that most coaches will tend to skip entirely. They go straight from, I just fixed my offer, to, why can't I scale right now? And the answer is because they haven't expanded what they can actually hold right now and into the future. If your nervous system is still treating 5-figure months like it's a fluke or an act of God or something, you will unconsciously be sabotaging your way back to whatever still feels safe, still feels normal, still feels comfortable. And this second stage, you could say, is where a lot of the deeper and more real work happens because it's not about more revenue, right? That's a result that comes later. It's about expanding your identity so it matches the business that you say you want. So when you've expanded yourself so you can create more capacity, then we can do stage 3, which is activity. And this is where strategy actually matters, but only now, not before. Once you're congruent and you've expanded your capacity, then the strategy stuff will actually click. The outreach doesn't feel forced when you go to do it. Writing content becomes easier and putting it out there becomes easier. Your sales conversations feel more natural, like it's a genuine conversation, and your pricing now makes sense. Which has nothing to do with learning a new technique or a new tool. It's all to do with the fact that you're finally operating from a place that matches what you're building. And as I said before, this is the place where a lot of coaches will try and start from. They jump straight into more activity, more strategy, more output. And it can work. It sometimes does, at least for a little bit. But then they naturally hit a plateau again. And they wonder why. I'll tell you why. Because the foundation wasn't there to begin with. The congruence wasn't there. The capacity wasn't there. The activity wasn't there yet. And that right there is the order that you need to go through when you hit a plateau. When you commit to these 3 stages and you commit to the sequence of going through it, the first thing you tend to notice is that, and it usually comes in a couple of weeks, is that the resistance drops. The resistance in the things that you need to do just drops. The things you've been avoiding, like your consistent outreach or becoming more visible or conversations, follow-up conversations that you've been meaning to have, they stop feeling like a massive wall in front of you. It just becomes the thing that you do. And that's the congruent shift. When you stop performing and then start building from what's actually true, the friction disappears because you're not fighting yourself anymore. Within a few weeks to a couple of months, the pipeline is starting to move consistently because you've suddenly changed how you're showing up and you're putting you into everything you're doing, not a new strategy that you found somewhere online. People respond very differently when they can feel that you actually believe what you're saying. You mean it. It lands differently. The conversations that you have with people are different. The follow-ups naturally happen. And within that couple of months, maybe a quarter of the year, the plateau is broken. The revenue is moving. The clients are coming in consistently. And the really cool part is it doesn't feel harder anymore. In fact, this is when it starts to become easy because you're no longer grinding against yourself. And it's not like a 3-year laid out plan that you have to follow. This shift happens when you follow the stages, but it only happens when you're willing to be honest with yourself. Now, if you have been coaching for anywhere from 3, 4, 5 years and beyond, and you know you're good at the work and you are currently working with some clients, but the business isn't reflecting that right now, here's what I want you to do. Ask yourself this one question. Is this business that I've built actually me? Or is it the version of me that I thought the market wanted? If that answer makes you uncomfortable, then that's good because that is your starting point right there. If this video resonated with you, please leave a comment below, hit the word plateau in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. And if you know another fellow coach out there who you think this video would help, please share it along. The more coaches we can serve, the more you help me fulfill my mission, and the more people that we can help get out of their own way, get past the plateau, and serve their clients. Thanks so much for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.